We're gonna skate to one song only.
So I ball so hard, motherfuckers wanna find me. But first niggas gotta find me. What's 50 grand?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Cody is here, and he is back with a new episode of the Cody's MMA Uncensored. I'm sorry I don't do this much anymore, but due to having a job and Christmas and Thanksgiving before that and all that stuff, I haven't had time. Plus, to be honest, my show really sucks, guys. Let's just be honest. My show is terrible. It's just terrible. I'm not as funny as I used to be. I'm not as wild as I used to be. I just guess I got old. It comes with age, doesn't it? You just kind of settle down. But I'm doing this now. I'm very excited about this upcoming UFC card, so I thought I'd do one. And also, on a special episode of the Cody's MMA Uncensored, I will be giving out the good and bad UFC awards for 2011, so stay tuned for that. And I'll also be give my thoughts on the next card for the Fox Day, the next UFC on Fox card. I'll give my thoughts on that one. But I'm back, guys, and I hope you enjoy the show. I'll make it as entertaining as I possibly can. I'll be obnoxious just for the hell of it, just in case that's what most people like. But just remember one thing. I still am the Cody. Just for this Friday card, but I hope that's not running as slow as I see it. But yeah, anyway, but I don't know how that's gonna work. But for now, 10 p.m. this Friday, Overeem versus Lesnar. Let's start with the co-main event, which will be a very, very exciting one. This will be, if this is not an exciting fight, something went terribly, terribly wrong, because this just has the makings of an exciting fight. Nate Diaz and Donald Cerrone, two guys who are have very similar styles. Very good stand-up fighters and very good submission fighters. So this is going to be interesting. I do expect this fight to be all stand-up. I don't think Nate Diaz will shoot on Cerrone, and I damn sure know Cerrone won't shoot on Diaz. I think Cerrone, in my opinion, might have too much respect for the ground game of Nate Diaz. I've always said Nate Diaz is a lightweight version of Antonio Nogueira. He can catch you at any time, any place, anywhere. He is just that slick on the ground. So if Donald Cerrone has a chance to win this fight, he's going to have to outpoint him on the feet. Now, a lot of people like to compare the style of Nate Diaz and Nick Diaz boxing style. Everyone says Nate Diaz has the same kind of striking as Nick. I disagree with that. Nick is much more fluent. He's much more creative with his striking. He is a much better striker than Nate. You know, it does kind of look similar, but I think Nick puts his punches together a lot better than Nate. Nate just kind of, it's hard to explain. Nick, here's a better way. Nick is very good at using his reach advantage. Nate has not learned that yet. Nate does not have a jab. Nate is all about coming in there and throwing aggressive punches, when Nick is all about pat, 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 just hitting you with punches, even if they don't hurt, just to irritate you. And Nick Diaz has a very, very good jab. It's very quick, very sudden. He keeps you away, except when he starts brawling, then, you know, he doesn't have a jab anymore. But I did kind of see some of what Nick Diaz does in his striking, and when Nate fought Takanori Gomi, which if Nate Diaz fights Donald Cerrone like he did Gomi, I think Cerrone is going to have a very hard time keeping up with the technique that Nate Diaz can bring. I know I'm making no sense. I'm just, this is the first show I've done in a while. I kind of lost my edge. I haven't talked about MMA with anyone, but anyway, I'm trying. But one thing that Donald Cerrone does have is that I think he will have more sting on his punches than Nate Diaz will. So, Nate Diaz and Nick Diaz, they both have pretty much iron chins. They're very hard to hurt. So, I expect if Donald Cerrone wins, I expect this to be a decision. Cerrone has been submitted before, so he was submitted by Ben Henderson in the rematch for the WEC title, and so he can be submitted. So I think this is what I think. On the feet, it's even. On the ground, I would give an edge to Nate Diaz. Donald Cerrone is very good, has a very good submission game as well, but I think Nate Diaz could submit him should it go down there. On the feet, I think it's pretty even. It could go either way, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick my boy Nate Diaz in this one. I think he's going to be hungrier. He's going to want it more, and I think a brawl type of fight is his type of fight to win. And I honestly think he could put Cerrone on the ropes. We've seen it a few times. Jamie Varner did it to him. Ben Henderson has done it to him. Cerrone can take a punch, but he has the tendency to get hit a lot. So I'm very interested to see this fight. Even though I'm picking Nate Diaz, I'm a huge fan of both guys, so it really won't matter to me who wins. I won't be surprised either way. It's going to be a great fight. Should the winner get a title shot? I'm going to say no. Nate Diaz, even though it was at welterweight, he was coming off 2 straight losses before he beat Gomi. But if you look at his lightweight record, if he never fought at welterweight and he's just fought at lightweight, he's only lost, he's lost to Guida, Stevenson. I still to this day don't understand how he lost to Joe Stevenson. I mean, Joe Stevenson pretty much held him down and he got him in one submission, and Nate Diaz was going for like thousands. But at lightweight, Nate Diaz has only lost to Clay Guida, Joe Stevenson, and Gray Maynard. Gray Maynard could be a potentially another situation where I don't really think Nate Diaz lost that fight, but I still don't think Nate Diaz deserves a title shot if he beats Cerrone. If Cerrone wins, you can make a case, because right now, if Cerrone wins, Cerrone is the only guy really with a winning streak. Melvin Gillard got his winning streak cut by Joe Lozon. Jim Miller got his winning streak cut by Ben Henderson. Clay Guida got his winning streak cut by Ben Henderson as well. So, and you still got Gray Maynard out there in the mix. I'm pretty sure he's not going to fight Frankie Edgar again. There could be a 4th fight, but, he's still out there somewhere. So, if Cerrone wins, give him a title shot. Hard to say. If Nate Diaz wins, I think Nate should have to win another fight before he gets there. Donald Cerrone, you could make a case for him should he win. But going on to the main event, Brock Lesnar versus Alistair Overeem. This is one of those fights where if it goes to a certain place in the cage, if it stays on the feet or goes to the ground, that is how the winner will be determined. I guarantee it. That is how the winner will be determined on this fight. If it's on the feet, there's no way Brock Lesnar is going to win. There's no way. Brock Lesnar will lose if he cannot get Overeem to the ground. But if Overeem gets taken down by Brock Lesnar, there's no way Overeem is going to win. There's no way. I know people are saying, well, Overeem has a submission game and all that stuff. Yeah, but if you... I watch a lot of Pride fights. Besides Rampage Jackson, I think I've seen... I'm not saying I've seen every Pride card, but next to Rampage Jackson, I've seen a lot of Overeem fights in Pride. And most of how he has been defeated is when he is on the ground. Somehow, when he gets taken down, he has the tendency to get beat up. And that's how he gets beaten. He lost to Shogun both times off his back. Both times he lost to Shogun, Shogun had him on the ground. The first time he had him mounted and beat him that way. The second time he pretty much pretty much nearly knocked him out. I mean, clearly. I mean, and Overeem has a durable chin, but he has what I call the Tim Sylvia chin. Tim Sylvia is easy to hurt, but he's hard to finish. That's how I think of Overeem. Overeem is easy to hurt with point on the feet, but he's hard to finish. But if a guy like Brock Lesnar gets Overeem to the ground, remember, Frank Mir is levels above Alistair Overeem when it comes to grappling. And look what Brock Lesnar did to him. Even though he lost the first time, look what he did to him the second time. And I truly believe that he beat a better Frank Mir than the Frank Mir that beat him that night. So if he gets Overeem down and Overeem can't get up, he's not getting up. That fight is over, period, end of story. So it's a tale of two fights. What fight happens will determine the winner. I guarantee you that. If Brock Lesnar has a hard time, if Brock Lesnar has even a little hints of trouble getting him down, Overeem is going to have the advantage. Because every great wrestler knows, with every failed takedown attempt, you get doubt put in your head, you will shoot and shoot less. You will go for the takedown a lot less if you can't get him down, because you're worried about spending all your energy. So you're going to try to stand up on the feet, and that is just a bad idea when it comes to fighting a guy like Alistair Overeem. So Lesnar has to figure a way to get to this fight to the ground, and I'm telling you, it's not because I'm a big Lesnar fan, because I'm a big Overeem fan as well. If Overeem gets taken down, that fight is over. End of story. Brock Lesnar is going to beat on him, and he's just not going to survive. He's too big, too strong, and from past fights that I've seen of Overeem, when he gets beat up on the ground, that fight is pretty much over. And now he's going to fight a true wrestler and someone who probably hits hard, as hard, if not harder, than he does. I'm not saying Brock Lesnar is a great striker, but when you've pretty much hitting everybody, every time you hit someone, they buckle or go down, you have power. So, yeah. As far as my pick, that's a tough one, because Alistair Overeem has not really fought a caliber of a wrestler that Brock Lesnar is for a very long time. So it's hard to say that he has great takedown defense, because Fabricio Werdum couldn't take him down, yet Fabricio Werdum is not a wrestler, and he's not as big and he's not as strong as Brock Lesnar. So, and then there's that thing about Brock Lesnar, he gets his ass hit in the face. He runs. He kind of turtles up and he retreats, and that's not a good thing either. So it's hard. This one is hard to pick. A lot of people are going to go for the hype of Overeem and say that Overeem is going to win because he's dominated pretty much everyone he's fought. But I have to go with Brock Lesnar. I just have a feeling that Brock Lesnar is going to come out very aggressive. He's going to throw Alistair Overeem off his game a little bit, and he's going to get taken down, and he's going to get beat on. And I just don't... I'm not going to sit here and say I don't see Overeem winning, because he has those knees and he punches really hard, and he's probably one of the best strikers, maybe next to Junior Dos Santos, in the heavyweight division. So I'm not saying I don't see him winning, but I don't think he can stop Brock Lesnar from taking him down. I just don't think he can. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead with Brock Lesnar. I'm going to say Brock Lesnar second round TKO. I think he's going to take him down. He's going to beat on him, and I don't think Overeem is going to survive on the ground. He has submission skills, but I think Lesnar has learned that craft since his first loss to Frank Mir. So I got to go with Brock Lesnar in this one. I kind of want to see Overeem win a little bit, not because I'm a bigger fan of Lesnar than Overeem, but only because I would love to see Junior Dos Santos versus Alistair Overeem. That is a fight I really badly want to see, but I'm going to go with my boy Lesnar in this one. And I'm sorry, Overeem fans. I know you're like, oh no, maybe the Cody is right. Maybe the Brock Lesnar will win. I don't know what the fuck accent I'm using, but I'm just going to use it. Okay, it's like, no, Overeem, no Overeem, no Overeem. No, don't get me wrong. I will not be surprised at all if Alistair Overeem knocks Brock Lesnar out or does what Cain Velasquez did to him. I won't be surprised. But I'm just saying, I think Brock Lesnar, I just had this feeling Brock Lesnar has a trick up his sleeve, and I think he's gonna somehow throw All-Star Overeem off a little bit, because I have a feeling that Brock Lesnar is just pig-headed enough to actually stand up with Overeem for a little bit, and Overeem's not gonna expect that. So I don't know. Whoa. Just like that damn Cerrone Diaz fight. I just don't know. I'm glad there ain't no Lights Out Show challenge on this one, because I'd fail, because I don't know. It's like I said, it's a tale of two fights. If Brock Lesnar gets him down, I think that fight is over. If Brock Lesnar can't, I think Overeem will beat the hell out of him. Yeah, but I'm just going to call Lesnar on this one. I also want to call an upset pick, Johnny Hendricks over John Fitch. I have this big feeling Hendricks is going to upset Fitch. Fitch has not fought in a while, and Hendricks hits really, really hard. And Fitch has been hit a couple times in his last couple fights, and he's been wobbled. So I think Hendricks is going to get a TKO in this fight. So look out for that. Upset Johnny Hendricks right there. All right. I'm sorry that's not as entertaining as I can make it, but I'm just telling you, that's my own personal opinion. You know what? That's my fucking opinion. It's an opinion. It's like a butthole. Everyone has one, and it stinks. Period. End of story. What more you need to know? Okay, I just want to talk real quick about the next UFC on Fox card. UFC on Fox 2. Yeah, how original. But I have to say, bad move by UFC. You have two potential fights that are just going to be boring as hell. I don't see Evans versus Davis being very exciting. Two wrestlers sitting there trying to out wrestle each other. Yeah, that's fun. That's a great fight to watch. And then you got Bisping versus Damian Maia. One guy's gonna try to take the other guy down. The other's gonna try to stand up. And I just have this feeling Damian Maia versus Michael Bisping is gonna be like Talis Laitis versus Anderson Silva. If no one remembers that fight, the whole fight basically is Talis Laitis trying to take Anderson Silva down, and every time he fails, he jumps to his back, and Anderson Silva kicks him a couple times. He gets back up, and the whole routine starts over again. That happened for 5 damn rounds. One of the most boring, dumbest fights in UFC history. That fight was terrible. And I have a great feeling that Damian Maia and Michael Bisping is going to be the same thing. I think Michael Bisping will win by decision. He'll outpoint Damian Maia, and Damian Maia will keep trying to take him down. And every time he can't, he'll try to fall to his back and take guard, but Bisping will be too smart for that. And by the way, I want to give a big to Jason Mayhem Miller. I lost money because of him. I thought Mayhem, I was so sure that Mayhem was going to beat Michael Bisping. I was positive of it. And in the first round, it looked like that's what was going to happen. Because if you watch Jason Mayhem Miller is known for his cardio. He doesn't get tired. He used to always say, I'm in dog shape. I can fight for days. So after that first round, I was like, that's exactly what I thought would happen. He would just control Michael Bisping for 3 rounds. I was so sure of it. I bet 20 damn bucks to a buddy of mine that Mayhem was going to win. He's like, no, Bisping is the man. Bisping's going to challenge Anderson Silva here pretty soon. I was like, there's no damn way. So I was like, here you go. Take it. Let's go. He's at work, and I'm watching the fight, and as soon as that second round starts, I'm like, damn. And you know what? It was 1 minute into the third round when I went to the bank to go get the $20. I'm dead serious. I just knew Mayhem was done after that second round. I just was like, you've got to be kidding me. I kind of rushed back home hoping that he caught a silly submission or hit him with a crazy ass punch, or he got cut and had to stop or something. But that didn't happen. So I'm never going for Mayhem again. You know, I'm not saying Mayhem was going to challenge Anderson Silva or anything, but I was so damn sure he was going to beat Michael Bisping. There was nothing you could have told me that would have made me think Bisping was going to win that fight. Nothing. He has the striking capability, but he doesn't have the power. And Mayhem Miller, I think, has never been knocked out. So, and I didn't think Michael Bisping was going to be the first one to do it. So I didn't think he was going to win. Anyway, back to the task at hand. Like I said about the Maia Bisping fight, same thing with Evans and Davis. I think it's going to be 2 wrestlers trying to out-wrestle each other. As much as I hate Rashad Evans, I don't know what it is, but I just don't like Rashad Evans, just like I just don't like Cain Velasquez. I think Davis is going to be the guy that makes this fight boring. I haven't seen anything that has suggested he is a good striker. Nothing. I haven't seen it. I don't know. Maybe I've been watching different fights, maybe. Could be me. But I think he's going to be the one that's going to be constantly trying to take Rashad down, and he's not going to be able to do it. And I got Rashad pretty much winning this fight by decision. You know, I could be wrong, but, you know, I kind of hope Davis wins because, God, I'm so sick of, I want to tell you, John Jones got the title, so I'm just going to leave my camp and I'm going to go somewhere else because I don't like that he got my title. Now, I could have beat Shogun. Shogun would have annihilated you. Period. End of story. Even with ring rust, he would have beat your ass. So, you just better get over that. And even if you beat Davis, John Jones will kick the hell out of you. So, let's just be real. But it doesn't matter who wins this fight. John Jones is probably the only guy I think John Jones has to worry about is Dan Henderson. And that's really weird for me to say that. Because a year ago, I would have said Dan Henderson shouldn't be fighting anymore. But this tear he is just going on. And then beating, I was like, when he was in Strikeforce, I was like, well, he's not really beating anybody. But then he beats Shogun. I was very impressed by that. So I'm very excited to see if Dan Henderson even gets the title shot. So I think that's the only person that can really challenge John Jones. Other than that, he'd probably kick the crap out of everybody else. But there was another fight on there, and there will never be a night that I am a bigger Mark Munoz fan than that night. You know, I didn't like Munoz because he beat my boy Chris Leben. By the way, Chris Leben, you need to lay off them damn pills, man. I mean, sir, stop. You know what? Don't put anything else in your mouth unless it's food or water. And nothing else. I'm so tired of hearing Chris Leben suspended due to failed drug test. What the fuck is wrong with you? Stop that shit. Stop popping pills. Popping bottles in the ice. Like, no, I'm just kidding. Stop. Stop taking pills, man. Keep that shit out your mouth. It's either you eat food or you drink fluids. As long as it don't have no steroid juice in it. Chris Leben, why, man? Why? You want to hear something messed up? I truly thought Chris Leben was 1 or 2 wins away from fighting Anderson Silva again. I know he would have got his ass kicked, but I really thought that he was almost there. I was like, this is just a glory run. He's gonna he's gonna beat a couple people. They're gonna give him a title shot just because he's an awesome competitor and a fan favorite. And he's gonna get his head kicked in. And I thought he was, and I was so disappointed when he lost. And then failed drug test. That's the second time his ass has lost after and then had a failed drug test. Got his ass whooped by Bisping. And then, I'm not going to say he got his ass whooped by Munoz because he did hang in that fight. He had Munoz in a couple submission attempts, and Munoz was struggling to take him down, and he was hitting Munoz a lot. So, he was hanging in that fight. I give it up to Chris Leben because Mark Munoz is a beast. I know he is, and Chris Leben was hanging in there. But anyway, back to the fight. Mark Munoz, if you do not whip that motherfucker's ass, you know which motherfucker I'm talking about, I am going to slap you. I swear to God, I will pour hot coffee on your head. I promise. I ain't lying to you. I'm being serious. You better win. Because I do not want to see that bitch get a title shot. Chael Sonnen is... That man has to be the luckiest man alive. First of all, he loses the title fight. He gets a rematch, but then he fails a drug test. He comes back. They give him a guy that has no ground game and easily beats him. And then he's back in title contention. They're already thinking about giving him a title shot already. Just because the bitch can run his mouth. If I be you, you leave my dimension. If you be me, I leave you having whoever behind his head. Just only became Asian, I don't know. Chael Sonnen, ever since that man got a mouth on him, and I swear to God, the one thing, I've said it 1,000 times, but let me say 1,001 more times. The one thing I hate the most is the fighters that talk so much trash, but yet all they do is take you down. That is not fighting. That does not make you the better fighter. That makes you the better wrestler, but not the better fighter. And that's all Chael Sonnen does. Chael Sonnen couldn't strike his way out of a paper bag. Plain and simple. Chael Sonnen sucks. He's terrible. Mark Munoz, you better fuck him up, or I'm going to kill you. I'm serious. Hot coffee is hot. Hence the word hot coffee. Yeah, I said that. Now, it is the moment that everyone has been waiting for. It is the Cody's personal 2011 UFC awards. I'm not going to call them MMA awards because I'm only giving them out to the UFC fighters and the UFC fights and all that stuff. But whatever the Cody does always has a twist, and I'm also going to get giving out awards for bad shit too. So why don't we just get this shit started? Alright, the award for most overhyped fighter of the year. I hate to say this, man, because I'm a fan of him, but you have to say Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis had a lot of momentum going and a lot of talk behind him when he entered into the UFC, but he loses to Clay Guida and gives a subpar performance against Jeremy Stevens. Not very impressive. He went from title contention to, you know, not many people are talking about Anthony Pettis getting a title shot now. You know, because you got guys like Ben Henderson and Donald Cerrone out there really taking names right now. And, of course, you got the champ Frankie Edgar. So, a lot of attention has been taken off Anthony Pettis now. But I have to say, even though I am a big fan of his, he was the most overhyped fighter of 2011. And he really did disappoint a lot. He really made me consider him biggest disappointment of 2011, but I will give that award out here soon. But it has to be Anthony Pettis. Sorry, Anthony, but I hope he has a better 2012. Hopefully he'll whoop Joe Lozon's ass, and we'll see where he goes from there. Alright, award for worst beatdown. This one was hard. Worst beatdown. I have who I am giving the award to, but I like written down right here, but I like the suspense a little. See, I wanted to give the award to Shogun Hua when he losing the title to John Jones, but I think the award calls for something just a bit different, and the award goes to BJ Penn for his loss to Nick Diaz. The reason I give this award to BJ Penn is because BJ Penn has lost before, but never in his entire career had he been cut, bloody, black-eyed, anything. But yet, did you see his face after he fought Nick Diaz? Nick Diaz beat the hell out of him, and that had to be the worst facial expression of 2011 was that right there. So BJ Penn does get the worst beatdown. Honorable mention to Mauricio Shogun Hua to his loss to John Jones, but that has to go to BJ Penn. Sorry, BJ. Man, I hope you're not really retired, man, because there's a couple people I hope you kick the hell out of. But, I had to sneeze. Did I just sneeze on my arm? Yeah, I did. My arm's wet. Nah, that's nasty. Ew. Anyway. Alright, my award for probably worst luck of 2011, I have to give that to Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans definitely has had the worst luck of 2011. He had a guaranteed title shot against Mauricio Shogun Hua. That was due to an injury. That was pushed back. He had a guaranteed title shot against John Jones. Got another injury. That was pushed back. And now he has been forced to fight Tito Ortiz, and now he has to again fight Phil Davis to get his #1 contender spot back. So the worst luck definitely goes to Rashad Evans. Although I'm glad he had that kind of luck, because that bitch does not deserve a title shot. He sucks. He's terrible. Anyway, but he's terrible. He just is. What do you want me to do? I can't say it, man. Damn. Anyway, moving on to my very last bad, the Cody's UFC 2011 award for biggest disappointment of the year. It has to be former. Love that word. Let me just say it again. Former. One more time. Former UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez. After his dismantling, if you want to call it that, of Brock Lesnar, he had the media. He was on the George Lopez show, and you know, everyone was calling him the best heavyweight in the world. Everyone wanted to see him beat up on Fedor, because at the time I don't think Fedor had lost to Verdum yet, or did he? I'm not sure. But everyone was saying Cain Velasquez was the next Fedor. I should say, maybe that was more along the lines. He's the next big thing. No one's going to beat him. Junior Dos Santos can't stop his takedowns. He's not going to win. He fights one time in 2011, and it lasts barely a minute. And he gets knocked out. if that's not disappointing after all that hype and all your fans said about you, that's kind of disappointing. That's terrible. Or as Charles Barkley would say, that's terrible. That's terrible. I find that hilarious. Yes, I do. But I hate Cain Velasquez, so I'm not really disappointed. I could care less, but But speaking from a fan standpoint, I know a lot of people wanted to see him do better and whip up on a lot more people, but that's just not going to happen because he sucks and he's a big disappointment. Anyway, so let's get to my good year awards. Okay, my Goodly Awards. Let's call it that because I'm 4 years old. Anyway, the Cody's 2011 UFC award for Breakout Star of the Year definitely goes to Ben Henderson. Ben Henderson definitely rose to the occasion after coming into the UFC after the WEC was basically discontinued. I have no idea. Into the UFC, and Ben Henderson proved that the WEC lightweights can hang with the UFC lightweights. He is yet to lose, and he is on his way to a title shot. Pretty much dominated Bocek, Miller, and Clay Guida. Yes, he dominated Clay Guida. Clay Guida didn't win a damn round. Kiss my ass. And now he is on his way to a title shot. And Frankie Edgar, let me just warn you. I do think Frankie Edgar will win this fight, but he is gonna have a lot harder time beating Ben Henderson than he did Gray Maynard. Ben Henderson is a beast, and if he does win, it won't shock me. But I think Frankie Edgar's stand-up is too perfect for Ben Henderson to handle. But that is going to be a hell of a fight, and it's a great main event for the first UFC in Japan card in a very long time, and I'm very glad the Japanese faithful get to see such a great fight. But Ben Henderson definitely was the breakout star of 2011. You know, three wins, and now you get your title shot in 2012. When people really didn't expect you to go too far because you came from the WEC, so prove people wrong. Comeback of the year, that's easy. Chet Congo over Pat Barry. I mean, come on. Pat Barry literally knocked out Chet Congo twice, but Chet Congo snapped back twice and knocked Pat Barry out. How could you not give that comeback of the year? Because I don't really pay attention to comebacks. So, yeah, that was the only one I could really think of. Sorry, but that definitely goes to Chet Congo. So, congratulations, Chet Congo. Yeah. Good luck against Mark Hunt. You're going to need it. I call Mark Hunt to upset Chet Congo in that fight, by the way. Upset of the year. There's been a couple, but I have to give that to Tito Ortiz over Ryan Bader. I thought Tito Ortiz would never win again in the UFC. And not only did he submit Ryan Bader, but he actually hurt him with the punch first, which shocks me because Tito Ortiz has never been known for his power. I mean, he beat the hell out of Ken Shamrock on the feet, and Ken Shamrock was never wobbled. He was getting hit a lot, but he never stumbled or got knocked down or anything. So Tito Ortiz has not been known for his power yet. He pretty much made Ryan Bader collapse to his ass. But that was definitely the upset of the year. So I definitely give a round of applause to Tito Ortiz. I would have gave you comeback fighter of the year had you at least beaten Rogerio Nogueira, Rashad Evans, whatever about Rashad Evans, but that would have been a hell of a feat. But your ribs, man, your ribs are your weakness. Now everyone knows it. So, yeah. I'm sorry, Tito. Fighter of the year, easy. John Jones. You beat Ryan Bader, Shogun Rua, Rampage Jackson, and Lyoto Machida all in 1 year after only coming in the UFC a year or two ago. Pretty impressive, and He's going to be around for a long time. Even if somehow he loses the title, I guarantee you he will make his way back to that title and get it back. So he'll be the champion for a while. He'll be the next George St. Pierre. You know, he might maybe he'll stumble upon someone that can beat him and then learn from that, come back and whoop his ass like George St. Pierre did. You know, shit happens. Submission of the year. Frank Mir over Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. Come on. If you cannot give that submission in the year, you almost get knocked out. You get put into side control. You roll, and then you get rolled, and then you roll him and break his arm. A guy like Nogueira, who's never been submitted, first guy to knock him out, first guy to submit him. How could you not give that submission of the year? One of the most beautiful transition submissions I've seen in a very long time, and I was very impressed by that. And I have my phone shut up. And I gotta hats off to Frank Mir. Submission of the year. There's no way. There's nothing that tops that. That was the. There was a lot of great submissions, but that was submission of the year. I mean, honorable mention to Diego Brandao over Dennis Bermudez at the Ultimate Fighter finale. That was a pretty impressive submission as well, but I gotta give that one to Frank Mir. It has to. Knockout of the year is easy. I mean, how often do you see a Karate Kid like kick to the face that knocks someone out in real life? You don't. Anderson Silva over Vitor Belfort gets the Cody's knockout of the year. Yeah, I'm just kind of blazing through these now because I'm kind of tired. I just got off work, so. And finally, fight of the year definitely goes to Frankie Edgar versus Gray Mater 2, the one that happened back on New Year's Day this past January. Hell of a fight. Hell of a second fight that they had this year, but the first fight was clearly better, and definitely fight of the year. But with that, the Cody has given out all his prestigious awards. Congratulations to all the winners and losers. You know, they all love it. It's the Cody Awards. What are you going to do? It's going to be worth $1 million one day. Watch. And I'm falling asleep. All right. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. I don't know when's the next time I'll do it. I hope you enjoyed it. Love you all. Peace out. Don't miss UFC 141 this Friday. Not Saturday. Not Sunday. Not 2 weeks from now. This Friday at 10 o'clock live on pay-per-view. My picks for the main event: Diaz over Cerrone, Lesnar over Overeem, and my upset pick: Hendricks over Fitch. Check that out. See if I'm right. If I go 3-0, everyone that watches this owes me $1. So I'll make $5. Peace out, guys. Because I am the Cody, and that is what I said. Damn it.